25. All of those questions will be answered through the possible preview that we're going to do here on the Joy Sports Link. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and of course, I am ably supported by the rest of the Joy Sports team, with lead production being done by Benaya Elom Dafiamekbo. Let's also tell you about some boxing later on, because earlier this week, the immediate past president of the Ghana Boxing Authority held a news conference to officially announce his decision of stepping down from the role of president of the Ghana Boxing Authority. As the Constitution demands and as the Constitution of the Ghana Boxing Authority directs, when the president is unavailable or is not able to continue in the role, resigns or passes on, the mantle falls on the first vice president. In this case of the Ghana Boxing Authority, the first vice president resigned some 2 years ago, and so this responsibility now fell on referee Roger Barno, who is the second vice president of the Ghana Boxing Authority. So now he's acting as president. We'll be taking his thoughts about this new temporary role that he's been given and what his whole idea is in restoring the administration of the Ghana Boxing Authority. And so all of that and more are here on the show. Also, as part of this special cocktail edition, we will be getting close to the newly appointed head coach of Accra Hearts of Oak, Coach Masood Didi Dramani. Earlier this week, my colleague Victor Achu Tamaklo had a conversation with him. And so the first major assignment for him is that game against Kumasi Asante Kotoko tomorrow. But before that as well, what's his ideology? What's his plan for the club? We'll get to know all of that here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. That just tells you that we have a packed show for you today and a cocktail of conversations to have. Remember, it's 055-11-11997. 055-11-11997 for your messages on WhatsApp. Let's begin, however, with the big dose of Formula One. And do remember that this weekend, we're going to Britain. The British Grand Prix takes over the headlines this weekend. And boy, oh boy, that is another very big, one that's going to happen. So who wins it and what will the projections be like? Let's get on the line and have a conversation with the president of the Motorsport Association of Ghana, Kwabna Poku, who's also the coordinator of F1 Ghana. Kwabna, good to have you, and very mixed feelings when we are going back to Britain, especially considering that we've gotten into a season and you don't have a Lewis Hamilton to be there to heighten the expectations and give all the home fans something to look forward to.
Hi. Good to be joining you this afternoon. Yes, I mean, it's not there. Mind you, remember that last year, Lewis was also not part of the conversation, but he came out and won the what do you call it, the British Grand Prix, even though he wasn't part of the conversation at the time, and he wasn't even competing for the championship. And he's done that for the past 11 years. He's been on the podium, either winning it or P2 or P3, but majority winning it. He's won it about 8 times, which is a record-breaking number of times that he's won the British Grand Prix. So, I mean, Lewis is not in the conversation, but mind you, that's his home. And for some reason, he performs amazingly at home. But the only difference this time around is that he has to perform in a Ferrari car, not his usual Mercedes car. Which the car hasn't been that good to him or good for him. But let's see what happens tomorrow on Sunday.
Now, away from him not being able to perform as well as he performs in a Mercedes car, all of those dynamics, what else comes to play here on this track, which ordinarily Lewis Hamilton is so used to because that is his home?
Well, that's where he started. He's very used to that track from his days in F2 and F3, and he trained so much of his motor career on that particular Silverstone track. So Lewis is, I would say, a master of that particular track. You understand? He's like a whole master of that track. He knows the track in and out. And he's able to, keep cars at bay in terms of defense. And look, last year, for whatever reason, we all knew that wasn't that good for him. But he came back and won the race straight up on that particular track,
Let's get into projections. If we start looking at the podium, yes, the Lewis Hamilton element always come to play. We will never ever discount that. But then, what would it look like, and what will be the dynamics and the determinant factors? I mean, last weekend we're looking at a very relatively complex track, considering that you had a lot of a lot of very interesting twists and turns, a track that looks like a horseshoe. Now you have the track and Britain to deal with.
Well, Silverstone is a legendary track, first of all. It's the home of motorsport. So you should know that track gives the driver so many difficulties, in terms of maneuvering the track. So it takes a whole lot of, it takes a good driver to actually maneuver the particular track and end the race on a successful note. Now, the thing is, my money is still on the McLarens. No, no two ways about that. My money is still on the McLarens. There should be a Ferrari in there. Last week, that's what happened. We had a McLaren and a Ferrari in there. Still betting on a McLaren and a Ferrari in there. As the Ferrari going to be there, I don't know if it's going to be Charles Leclerc or Lewis Hamilton, but one of them will definitely be on that particular podium. Number two, I'm not reading out the Red Bulls, but the Red Bulls are having a lot of news around them this particular week with the, not a rumor mill, but now we knowing that Mercedes is actually talking to Max Verstappen in terms of recruiting him. They've not been able to close a deal with George Russell. Apparently, they've offered him a 1 year plus another year based on the performance, and George doesn't want. George wants a long-term deal. So that particular deal is also stalling, and at the same time, we are hearing Mercedes is talking to Max Verstappen. Obviously, Mercedes is not going to kick Kimi Antonelli out. It is George Russell's seat which is at stake for Max to come in. We don't know if Red Bull is going to then turn around and talk to George Russell. So there's a lot of conversation and mind games going on. So it will be an interesting British Grand Prix, seeing as all of these things are going on, the conversations are going on as to, is Max joining Mercedes? Is George joining Red Bull? What's going to happen? All of those things are going on. It gives advantage to the McLarens and the Ferraris. They know their drivers for 2026, so they don't really care. They are going out there to go and race. So it will be an interesting British Grand Prix.
All right, so like you mentioned, Lewis Hamilton won it last year. The year before that, it was Max Verstappen, very, very understandably. I mean, Max Verstappen at the time was high-flying, and that's the reason why you and I met him in Abu Dhabi, and he wrapped it all up in a very unique way. What's the plan for viewing tomorrow?
So British Grand Prix, that's the home of motorsport. So next, on Sunday, we are being hosted by the British High Commission at their clubhouse called the Grasscutters in Osu. So we'll be there from about 11 in the afternoon. There's a foosball, tennis table, ping pong tables, swimming pool and all of that. So the fun will be starting around 11 a.m. in the morning, and the race starts around 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, we usually have our events open to everybody, which is free. But because we're going into, I would say, how should I put it, a diplomatic area, which we're being hosted by the British High Commission Ghana, because we're doing this in partnership with the British High Commission. We have a phone number where if you want to be part of the race for this weekend, if you want to come through, even though it's a free entry, you need to confirm your attendance with us. Send your name to 020-4480-300. 020-4480-300, only on WhatsApp. Send your name for us to confirm you. The names should reach us before 2 p.m. on Saturday. The race is on Sunday, but we need to get our list to them by 2 p.m. on Saturday. So if you want to be part of us this Sunday, we're going to the Grasscutters in Osu, which is being run by, which is a location owned by the British High Commission. And so that's the formality for this particular weekend.
All right. All right, Kwabena, thank you so much, and I'll catch you on ground at the race tomorrow. Thank you so much. Kwabena Poku is the president of the Motorsports Association of Ghana, wrapping it up for us with F1. And as I mentioned, today is a cocktail of conversations. Later, we'll be discussing some football. We'll be taking a look at the, permutations and the projections for that big game. In the off-season here in Ghana, we don't have much to look forward to but some all-star games here and there. So this is much sought after and is sure will break the headlines, tomorrow. And that game is what I'm looking forward to. Hearts of Oak are playing against Kumasi Asante Kotoko, their arch rivals, for the President's Cup put together by the Ghana League Clubs Association. All right, so next up, we're having a conversation on boxing. Do remember that we've had a very long run of various conversations with twists and turns. And all of this was born out of an unfortunate happening at the Bukom Boxing Arena, where eventually there was a death of a boxer who was fighting out of Nigeria. Eventually, after a lot of twists and turns in that tale, the boxer who passed on has been buried in his home because the Ghana Boxing Authority made arrangements to have his body repatriated. Also, some donations have been made to his family, and so I believe very strongly that that chapter of the story is brought to an end. Unfortunately, the memory will always linger, and people will always refer to it as a very unfortunate chapter in the history of organizing boxing and boxing promotion in our country. But also, one key thing that happened during the week was the handover of office by Mr. Abraham Kote Nikwe, who had resigned his position as president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, to Mr. Roger Bano, who was serving until then as the second vice president of the association, of the authority. And as I mentioned earlier, by the constitution of the Ghana Boxing Authority, the first vice president is supposed to take over if the president is not around. In this case, we do not have a first vice president of the Ghana Boxing Authority. Mr. Rabon Dodo, who was there, resigned 2 years ago. And so because of that, the mantle has fallen on Mr. Roger Bano. In traditional circles, he's known as Ni Boni Tachalo the First. He is the shipping of the English Adanse traditional area. So he is a man with great experience, has served the sport since the year 1998, and all the badges that he needs to earn with all the major sanctioning bodies has been part of news conferences, dramatic ones, smooth ones, has seen many days in boxing in the ring as a referee at the center, has seen days of close tragedy. He's seen days of smooth, rulings and smooth results. He's also seen, some very rough days as well, where violence has broken out and fans don't want to accept the verdict. He's seen quite a lot in the sport. He's been part of this administration led by Mr. Abraham Kote Nikwe, and now he is tasked with the responsibility of leading the body to a successful elective Congress. Ni mimbode manye.
Papa manye drum abla.
Nakai. Obada nyngoshi ke ewu uno ye ke iba wogan. Woga kupano. Wanife momi ke kokwe English ala tadenche. O wonsole ake atana nyumo denche ba habu nakanga kuni unye ukechuni uke somo gamanfen je English ala takumeto.
Kenkle mada numoshi. Ni mada bohunshi mi awawa tu ake olie ngabufen ejeshia.
Okay.
Oja ajumanku nja adanse ife English yen.
Okay.
Oji chi o keji wo pepe be shia bi so.
Okay.
Ni numo aha no yumo abami.
Okay.
Oni ewa wo fen.
Okay.
Ni wo ke wa wo shia.
Okay.
English gamanfen
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you all very much for staying with us on the Joy Sports Link one more time. My guest at this time is the acting president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, referee Roger Bano. Ref, you have seen a very long journey in this sport. After all these decades in boxing, are you a satisfied person after all these years, looking back at your journey, your personal journey?
Sure. I can easily tell you that by His grace, I'm very satisfied. If, God forbid, if I'm to die today, I'll be great, because I start from the scratch and I've got to the pinnacle of it. At the end of the day, everyone wants progression in whatever he or she does. And thank God, I've occupied the highest seat of the boxing fraternity in Ghana as the acting president.
Very well. You are part of this administration. We've seen all sorts of things happen. The unfortunate incident, the death of a boxer, and the Amaka Amatefu committee, the process they went through, the revelations that were made, and some of the things that went against your own administration because you're a part of it. What do you make of all of that? I mean, the conversations that have gone on in the media about, processes and how we at the within the boxing fraternity, and for that matter, the executive may not be following due procedure and all of that. How do you feel about all that has happened?
I can tell you on authority note, one way or the other, I should be proud and I should be sad as well. Okay. It's the two sides of a coin.
The coin, yeah.
First, I would like to touch on the positive aspects of everything that happened within the tenure of my previous president, Abraham Kotenikwe. I would like to thank him. I might have learned some positives and the negative aspects of every life of, his administration. He's a human being. He can never be 100%, truthful. He can never be 100% wrongful. Whatever he does so to the best of his knowledge. And then probably he might have thought what he's doing or what he was doing was right, in the course of, pushing Ghana boxing to another level. But like we all know, we are human beings. We might fall short somewhere. We might, get out of situations positively, but it wasn't, that in his case. So I would like to thank him for giving me this opportunity to serve as the acting president of the Ghana Boxing Authority by his resignation. And it's very unfortunate we got ourselves in that kind of situation. But it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve, and whatever happens within this short period that preceded his resignation, I've learned a lot out of it, and then I know it's going to help me in my subsequent years ahead if I have to occupy the seat permanently, which I hope to.
Well, okay, so that then also tells us that, referee Roger Bano has revealed here that he will run for president of the Ghana Boxing Authority. Is this an ambition you've nurtured all this while? Did it come up at a certain point?
Whatever you do in life, like I said earlier on, you aim to get to the top. And I have met people, growing up in the sport, and, I have been with Nikwe Minsa. I have been...
Blessed memory.
Blessed memory. I have been with ex-president Moses Fuamini, Mr. Samuel Kaptan, Mr. Zwenis, and lastly, Mr. Abraham Kotenikwe. And before them all, I met Alute Kofi as well.
Yeah,
so,
Ajenkwa. Yes.
Blessed memory
yes.
Also. And with their leadership styles, I did learn a lot. And putting that all together, I knew one day, I might be the head of the Ghana Boxing Authority, and then it will definitely help me. So, it wasn't that there's a surprise for me, but it's some kind of a calling. It's been there. It's been yearning to come. But I never knew it would be so early. But once it is, I can never let the chance slip by. I grabbed it with both hands, and I'll make sure the chance that I've had this very short moment will definitely linger in people's, memory as one of the, the finest. Like I said, I'm going to make sure I'll do what I have to do to make sure people really will remember me, even if I'm gone.
Well, if you just joined us, we're having a conversation with the acting president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, referee Roger Bano, one who has been active in the sport of boxing and participating since the year 1998. He's worked with a minimum of 4 presidents and 4 different areas of leadership, and now he's revealed here on the Joy Sports Link for what probably would be the first time in public that he will run for president of the Ghana Boxing Authority. We have quite a long way to go because there is a process that we need to go through administratively to get there as required by the Constitution of the Ghana Boxing Authority. That is all coming up. But of course, you can send messages at 055-1111-997. 055-1111-997. Ref, you obviously do know what the demands are because you have voted for others in previous elections since, this format was used, or since we started this particular format under the Constitution. So, what have you started doing to make sure that when the time eventually comes, you would have done enough homework to secure as much votes as possible to get you up there?
Boxing is a small family. Everyone knows what everyone can do. And, getting this opportunity, I'll make good use of it. I've started talking to my team. We're rallying the support we needed. And if it needs come that I have to, which I am sure they will all accept that I do, so we will definitely do that. We have a team in place. Few touches is what we're doing now till when we have to go to election. If I have to, then we will move forward.
Let's also talk about this. In politics, a lot of things happen. We've seen situations where, people or persons who've put themselves up have stepped back, giving others the chance for various reasons. And we do know in history, when you read various stories of leaders who have emerged, some of the time we've seen people do that for a while and eventually get into those positions that they very much desire. Is this something that you'd consider in the interest of Ghana boxing if that scenario should ever come up during this period? Because I do know, for instance, that Mr. Rabon-Dodu, the former, first vice, whom you also served with and served under, is interested. Mr. Ivan Bruce Kujo has also, Mr. Ivan Bruce Kujo, the promoter, has also expressed interest.
I can tell you that at the end of the day, boxing has to be the winner.
Yeah.
If any of the two personalities you've mentioned feels, and I feels, deserves more than I do now, I'm still young. I can still give the person a chance. It's not something I have to decide. It's something we have to decide. If I say something we have to decide, me and my team have to decide what is best for Ghana boxing. And above all, we have to put, the interest of boxing at first. So everything is possible. Anything is possible.
Everything is possible indeed. Now, let's also quickly take a look at the people, the fraternity. We have, some associations under the Ghana Boxing Authority who make up the stakeholder body and, by extension, the Electoral College of the Ghana Boxing Authority for Congress, which would decide who becomes the next leader. Now, you obviously are very well known in the fraternity, and I do not believe that you'd have any problems campaigning or going around. But what are the concerns? What are the concerns that stakeholders are raising with you? What do they want to see change? What are some of the messages you've picked on ground in these few days that you've expressed interest of wanting to go and serve at the highest office?
I can tell you, I've spoken to a lot of them, if not almost all of them. I've spoken to a lot of them, and it's like, and I've been in the fire, so I know what's in the fire. I've been among those people who were crying for this moment. So, I know them, and I know that. And, we can do what we have to do. All they know is do what is right for the sports of boxing we all love. And I'm ready to do that. We should work within the confines of the rules of the game. What should be done, should be done. No matter the personal relationship we have with the person. If you are not on terms with the person and what is seeking from you as a leader is in right tune of boxing, then you better do that. Then you'll be free, which they knew I can do. So I wouldn't have any problem. They wouldn't have any problem with me if I happens to be the president permanently. Because I can tell you I'm coming from a meeting with the stakeholders as I speak to you now. And everything was positive. Everyone was happy with my leadership style. I told them I don't want to be a boss. I want to be a leader. I don't want us to fail. And I don't want to fail. I want us to succeed. And then we'll all be happy at the end of my tenure.
In campaigning, we do see a lot of persons who aspire to positions, various positions, refer to, the immediate examples and the ills with the immediate examples. Well, so far, I haven't heard you say anything because obviously you're also a part of that administration. But you obviously are coming in with a new style. And that is what you have communicated so far. So if you were told to tell us one or two things, I mean, real things that you'd want to change going forward that will be a hallmark of your administration, what would they be, for instance?
I can tell you on authority that I know the movers and the shakers of the game.
Okay.
I know what is done that is right within the boxing circles, and I will. First, our Commonwealth titles has been redundant for the past years. Now I've taken it upon myself and then the executives. We will make sure we get that opportunity we used to have, you know, by talking to some external people outside. I've done that already, and I think I will do that. That is one. And then two, we will have to go to the conventions. Make sure we take rowdyism out of our sports, especially those kind of achiag beshi, blah, 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 that is being termed. You know, in boxing, we have journeymen. We can't take them out of the sports. We will do it like they used to, they do it.
Just before you carry on, would want to have everybody be along with us. Now, achiag beshi is a term, you know, that is used in boxing circles. So we'd have to explain it properly so people understand. So it goes to suggest that people go into arranged fights and they wither within a few minutes so they can have the other opponent take the result and go away, right?
That's not that. That's not that. They are called journeymen.
Okay.
You know, others, you know, in the sports of boxing here, or in the game of boxing, not everyone can be a world champion. So there are people there who, you know, who will come into the sports,
get the job done.
Get the job done.
Yeah.
You know, and then probably they know they're not going to be world champions, so they are coming to aid. At least a form of job as well, just to take people out of the street. You need to give them chance, but it should be done the way it is done elsewhere. If you can look at a person like Julio Cesar Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez had his first fight, his first proper fight, at his 17th fight. You can see his first fight, second fight when he turned pro. All those guys were guys with, you know, huge losses. You know, they are those guys who build bosses for the future champions. Those are the journeymen in Ghana. We call them achiag beshi. But it's not a pre-arranged fight for a boxer to come in and take a dive after a few minutes or a 1 or 2 rounds. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's
Okay.
not it.
All right. So you were talking about, you know, taking violence out of the sport of boxing. It's just interesting that in the past days, one of our team members here at Joy Sports did a documentary called Scars of Hooliganism. He focused on football, and, you know, it was a very emotional one indeed. But we've had, I mean, I remember that day when you had to take out a weapon due to self-defense because your life was in danger. I remember very well at the, you know, in one of
that was in 2016.
2016, yeah. And all of these have happened before. I also remember that once a sitting vice president was there in the arena and all hell broke loose, people were misbehaving.
It all boils down to education. We need to educate our fans, which I've taken it upon myself and the board, and then the stakeholders themselves. You know, we have a committee for boxing stakeholders. You know, we've taken it upon ourselves. We'll be going town just to educate our fans. You know, boxing is kind of a sport. You know, you might win today, lose tomorrow. It doesn't mean if you lose today, it's the end of the world. Every boxer has lost before, one way or the other. It's only Mayweather, we can say, has never lost a competitive fight in the professional ranks, but he lost in an amateur. So we need to educate them how the scoring goes, what they should expect, you know, in a fight, because we have win, lose, and a draw. And I've been doing that behind the scenes. So me now being the head of affairs, I'll make it a major point just to let them understand what they should expect. It's not all, everything shouldn't be about violence. So I think they will understand me.
Let's talk about promotions. Promotions become the final element of everything we do as a body. And that also goes to market the sport in a very big way globally. In the past few weeks, everybody across board, whether or not they love boxing, have celebrated the boxing fraternity, especially the CEO of Legacy Rise Sports, Sharaf Mahama, for pulling off what was a very, very successful fight night, heavily subscribed, live on DAZN, live on SuperSport, live on some of our local channels here. And that is a high point, you know, because it also attracted legends of the sport we have with global appeal. And that was a major chapter in our boxing. Where do we go from there? I mean, you were there, you were part of organization, you were in the thick of all of the action. Tell me what you saw from your lens, purely from a boxing perspective.
I can tell you it's an upgrade of whatever we've done. That shows that we are progressing. He is learning. He's got a good team around himself. And I think he will succeed. And then I may let the cat out of the bag for a while. On the 5th of September, we'll be having a team member of a high-profile boxer coming from the States. He will be arriving in Ghana on the 5th of September, you know, just to lay the foundations for someone who might come over for a visit in the near future.
Very well.
So I think he saw what he saw, and he also wants to come around. He's a friend of mine. I've been talking to his, you know, marketing team, his team around himself, and then I spoke to him personally, and he accepted to come over to visit us in one of these fights. So I think if we want those kind of high-profile personalities, not only boxers, ex-boxers, coming over, we should educate ourselves in our doings, especially with this kind of rowdyism that happens at the arena. That is why I have taken upon myself to educate my fans what to expect after a fight. So it wouldn't take us from the lane that we've taken from our last promotion. We should upgrade on what happened the last time. So at the end of the day, I think we will be heading somewhere positive.
Amazing. Tell me what people have told you generally about that particular fight night. I'm glad to hear about the prospects. I'm glad to hear about the conversations that have been generated because of the Battle of the Beast fight night. I'm looking forward to that event as well, and that which will follow in December. But tell me about the reactions from people generally after that particular fight night and what kind of encouragement it is giving you about the future of the sport.
You know, they're calling for more. Calling for more. And they'll get what they want. It all depends on them. You know, boxing is a huge investment. And no one can do that solely by himself. He needs corporate people, corporate body. They will come on board if we behave very well. And I hope they are ready to do that, because if you want to sell your product, you need to market it well. By marketing it very well, you need to have good people on board. That will entice them to come on board as well. So I think this goes to our fans. Let's help our brother promoters so they put up a good show. Once they put up a good show, people come on board, help them, and then we'll have super good shows as well. So, guys, you know, we are from the same place as Bukom. With this, I would like to speak for my people to understand.
Sure.
In the many work because the last fight I know, for about 4 or 5 years now, no did fight ko ni woba keje shishije ke awa na agbe ni afon blo ni hani wo fi ashina kan wo yin ashina kan yani me anake wo game keji ababa wote omo be no baba na kan no ki waya you know ni ngo na fefe moko complain ko akeni eba park a car na kan gbe la park cars be outside aju mokonoko afite mokonoko it's a plus for us no bani next time keji afi ko we gbeme wuji banye ebanye eko. So guys, let's put on our good behavior shirts, you know, go out there, make Bukom proud, Bukom Boxing Arena proud, and then, you know, the big guys we called will definitely come on when they are invited, and then they will help our promoters as well.
For the benefit of those who do not understand GAR, Mr. Roger Bano, referee Roger Bano, the acting president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, is speaking directly to the immediate community around the Bukom Boxing Arena, who would normally fill up the popular stands and elsewhere within the arena. He is commending everyone who was there and present at the Battle of the Beast fight night for comporting themselves such that there was no violence reported. Also, that people came and they parked their cars over various distances around the immediate area at the Bukum Boxing Arena, and there was no incidents of theft or any break-ins into any cars, and that is a very big feather in the cap of the boxing viewing community or the boxing patronage community within the area around the Bukum Boxing Arena. So that goes to become a very big plus. And he's urging everyone to put on their good behavior cloaks so that, you know, this will also attract those who necessarily will not opt for sports entertainment, for that matter, boxing entertainment, if they're looking for reveling or they're looking to go out to have a good time. So he's talking about the ripple effects that good behavior and good comportment will bring generally to the sport of boxing. All right, now let's look at you, I mean, in terms of your relationships with people who have been there and have seen all of this before. Have you had any conversations with your previous, the previous presidents? Let's begin with the immediate past president. What was the last conversation you had with him which the public can consume?
Before he left office, he called me personally, told me, Roger, this had been your dream. I am resigning. I'm leaving the mantle for you. I hope you're going to do a good job, and I'll be proud of you. He left office. We're still in touch. It was yesterday that I spoke with him. And then, you know, even though he's gone, we still have some few things to touch on. So I'll still see him probably maybe today, tomorrow. And then there are a few things that he will enlighten me on whilst he was in office and he's gone, that I have to make sure I put it on in good use. So it's been okay for now.
Now, let's also talk about the other past presidents. Lawyer Moses Fuamwening, Lawyer Peter Zwenis, Mr. Samir Kaptan, who is the WBO's supervisor for the African continent.
Let me start with Moses Fuamwening, my ex-president, or let's say my ex-chairman.
Yeah.
By then, we used to call him chairman.
By the designation, yes.
Yeah,
at the time.
let me talk to him. He knows me inside out. He knows what I can do. So what I heard from him was, he said he knew I wouldn't fail. He knew me. He said I wouldn't fail. He knows what I'm capable of doing. So he's not scared of me, taking up the mantle. And he has confidence in me. Same as Mr. Peter Zwenis. I'm past president. Mr. Peter Zwenis still also has confidence in me. And he's willing to serve on my board if I may call upon him. Same as Mr. Samir Kaptan. He invited me to his office this morning before heading to the board meeting with the stakeholders. He advised me on what should be done and what shouldn't be done. Because, with the personal relationship I have with them, they have the confidence in me, which they knew it's going to be successful because Mr. Kaptan is preparing something bigger for me, which, he wouldn't want me to fail. So he's really,
Yeah, and talk about Mr. Samir Kaptan. I mean, he's an experienced hand in the sport of boxing, served diligently as a president. Before that, he served as vice president to lawyer Moses Fuamwening. He previously also served as a chairman of promotions and has promoted fights before. He had the brand Sikaprix International Promotions. He's also worked as a boxing trainer before. So he is a whole institution when it comes to...
And a manager as well.
And a manager, yes, of course. So he's worked, very well in terms of learning the ropes and moving all the way to the top now to become a coordinator for the whole of Africa for the World Boxing Organization. Now, this period between now and the eventual Congress, elective Congress, there's a lot of administrative work to do. in the midst of it, let's just say we had 10 fight nights. Would you be able to balance your work as a referee, judge, and the work? Would you want to put that aside for a bit so you focus heavily on the volume of work at the Ghana Boxing Authority?
If I can tell you, as the acting president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, I don't handle administrative work. That is solely for the Secretary General to do so.
Yes.
But before he does or he takes any decision, he has to talk to me, and then probably we might find a way of doing it. So I might not be officiating in Ghana for now, but outside it's possible.
Okay.
I am not officiating in Ghana, but outside it's possible.
Okay,
I will.
That's something you would do. What about the training programs? I mean, the last time we followed your exploits outside of town, you went into the Gulf region, you did some training programs for some, some ring officials who wanted to upgrade.
After that, UAE seminar, I have done 2 seminars in UK. And just last November, I was in Nigeria as well. And I'm planning to do so with the acting head of my ring officials here, who was taking over the head of the ring officials from me, Mr. Shadrack Akwe. He will be having a seminar. I'll definitely be supporting him, but I'll be at the back seat for him to take control of whatever he wants to do. So we're planning doing that, sorry, for Ghana, probably maybe in the next week or 2. So I think, and then probably also, we will be looking up for new officials as well. We'll be looking for new officials as well.
Well, that's a call. For those of you who've been calling me and approaching me to want to become boxing officials, judges, referees, all referee judges, this is the time. The acting president of the Ghana Boxing Authority is opening up for some professionals who are practicing in other fields who want to use this to become a second love. Please go ahead and let's have a conversation. But Ref, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and we're grateful to you for your time here today. We look forward to working with you so that we see how Ghana Boxing progresses during this period as we build up to the elective Congress. Before you go, however, Accra Hearts of Oak going up against Kumasi Asante Kotoko for the President's Cup. What do you expect tomorrow?
I'm a Phobian through by through.
Okay.
I'm a Phobian.
So done deal. Phobia all the way. Okay. All right. Phobia all the way, indeed it is. So let's now very quickly cross over to Victor Achutamaklo with some analysis on the game, first of all. And then after that, he'll bring us a conversation with the head coach of Accra Hearts of Oak, Masoud Didi Dramani, who has seen a very, very good, thorough walk in the sport and has also grown over a period. Previously, he served as assistant coach of the Black Stars team and has also coached Asante Kotoko before. So this will definitely be a very interesting day for him at the office. First major assignment for him in charge of Accra Hearts of Oak.
Coach, welcome to Joy Sports and congratulations on your appointment.
Thanks, Tomaklo. How is everything?
We're good, by the grace of God. And I could tell the enthusiasm from the training session moments earlier. Just how happy are you to be Hearts of Oak head coach?
I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I would rather be talking about it's a privilege to have an opportunity to be the head coach of the oldest club in the history of Ghana. Accra House of Oak, you know, it's a desire and the interest of everyone to have that privilege to serve an institution of that sort. I need not to talk about other places because now I'm here as a professional. So I just think that I'll say yes. I'm privileged in terms of professional integration.
Right. How long have you waited for this job?
Well, I don't. To be honest with you, I have never waited in vacuum and crying for a particular job.
For any job?
No. I have never done that. I have never. I've always trained my mind and emotions that as a practicing person, all that you have to be doing is that you have to be active. You have to be doing doing a sort of work.
Yeah.
So if you are a mechanic, you don't wait until somebody brings his car. You know, you have to make sure that you are always ready.
Relevant
Sometimes
in the
go,
industry.
go into that industry with a partner and then help. You know, so that's how I have instituted myself along. I have never been in vacuum since I started, you know, right from stopping playing in
2001 was it?
No, in 1999.
Right.
Yes, because I stopped playing in 1999-2000 season. So right from that moment, I enrolled myself that I wanted to go into coaching, and that took me into my university education in Winnipeg, you know, to do exactly a course that will propel my career ambitions. So I have never been in a vacuum. I've always, I don't care if it is a 3rd division, 2nd division, community area, you know, I get in everywhere, and I just impact. So that's my passion. So it's never my interest. It's just my passion, just to impact, make sure that I create a value, I create an interest, I impact, and then I effect a change. You know, I put something into people. I entrust people in some responsibilities. That is me.
I asked that question because 2021, you spoke to my colleague Muftau, and you said even though you had coached Kotoko, you were a big Accra Hearts fan.
I think growing up as a young boy and playing for my alma mater, Ray Tamale United, and I supported House of Folk before getting
Into
to play
coaching. to play. Yeah.
You know, because my late dad was also a Phobian. My home was Phobian. So, and I think my first House of Folk game I watched was, I think, 79, 80 or so. It was against Cornerstone at the Accra Sports Stadium. And I had come from...
so that's fresh off the musical youth cycle?
No. Those were the Razak Jibril.
Right.
You remember there was a Jibril who came to his father?
Yeah.
And then they were the Ofer and Sense and others. So but then I was very young, but then I had not even gone to RTU. I went to RTU in 83. Very young.
Right.
So those days they had to increase my age to be able to play with the older ones, because I was so small, but I was very intelligent when it comes to the game understanding. Can you imagine? My dad was a coach, and all I have always thought about is football. Always there was football in my dad's car, and it was meant for me to always play. So I was born in a football home. So I got my traits from those periods. So I started having a soft heart for House of Folk from those times.
Right.
So even at RTU, you know, each time I finish playing my game, I'll try to find out. So I knew a lot about the House of Folk. In my coach team, you know what my nickname was?
No.
It was Gomash. House of Folk had a player called George Gomashi.
Yeah.
So my officials in the coach team, my coach team was House Babies, Tamale House Babies. They were all Phobians, so they will give us their names as our nicknames.
You'll be named after the players
those house
at
players,
that time.
yes. And so when I was playing in RTU, my role model was Offense, and we were very close. Even though I was playing RTU, playing here, and he was playing here.
Yeah.
But I was young. He and Kwesi Appiah. And he would always give me House of Folk
apparel.
But can I use it there? Those years, you cannot use it. How are you going to use it?
No, you can't.
You can't use it. I can only wear it when I'm in my room. But even when I'm stepping out of my room, I have to take it out.
Yeah.
Because someone sees you with a House of Folk dress or Kotoko dress.
Problem for you.
It's a big problem. So this is how I incarnated myself. But I was a professional. When I'm playing against House of Folk, I never even thought that it is when I finish, then I say, oh, this is my club. Oh. Then I'll be looking at the league table and then looking at where they lie.
So you've spoken at length about your interests shaped by the sort of education you had and the sort of home you came from. And over the course of your career, we have also seen you move into not just coaching, but the teaching aspects and the management aspects of football. Would you say your career trajectory has been shaped by where you came from? Because I was also told of your father's role. He's once upon a time General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, also mentored by the late legendary Ohinijan. Did your association with your father and Ohinijan, did they shape you into?
I think it's the genes, and you know, when there's a teacher in your home,
Yeah.
of course you believe that someone in the home can take those traces, and so I think that there was no doubt in any case that when I sat with my dad and we talked football, you know, there are things that he told me those years that I still have them and I still use them.
That are still relevant today.
Very, very relevant, because I remember there was this key thing that he told me, that sometimes you need to use economic methods of coaching. You know what I mean?
No.
You know, it is when you don't have time and then you are close to some matches or competition that you need to do so many aspects: physical, technical, tactical, psychological, doing all the fundamental criteria into one, because you don't have time to do it, you know, details
separately.
So you need to, you know, take little by little, but still you know that you are still getting everything.
Right.
And even that time I was not a coach, but it's still very relevant today, and it will be relevant tomorrow, and it will be relevant into the future.
Now, let's talk about the last 5 years of your life. You have taken a very interesting trajectory. So you went to Denmark. You went to be the assistant coach at Nordsjælland before you later came to do Right to Dream. We would unpack the Right to Dream bit, because I think there are similarities.
Maybe
between,
it's another page, maybe,
yes,
maybe part 2.
There are similarities between what you can do here, what Hearts of Oak needs, and what the structure is at Right to Dream. But what was that experience in Denmark like for a black coach? There's not many of you to start with out there in Europe.
I think there were so many things that came up. I remember I did a podcast, and then I said we're building Africa in Europe.
How dare you?
Yes, but that was what we did. That was what we did, because they tried it,
Yeah.
and it was difficult. Gosway was there, Asante, you know, I think Solomon Asante was also there.
So Godswill Donyo?
Yeah, Donyo was
I
there.
think Solomon Asante.
Yes, Solomon Asante was also
Right.
there. So it was difficult for us to have more players from the African
When there's
descent.
a precedence of failure.
Yes, because they were not failures, but they had a lot of challenges, because they were just 2. And then you know, Gosway was a big potential, but they had their own challenges. And so behind them, Mumin was there. And when Mumin went, you know, there was a more challenge. Mumin found it difficult to break into the first team. It was when I went there in 2018. Then I went into a consensus with the technical director, Fleman Peterson.
Right.
But now I think he's now a consultant. He became the head coach also. And I said, I think that we need to set Mumin on a loan deal. And I needed to, because it got to a time that, you know, the boys were not happy, because he felt that, you know how it looks like? It looks like you are not trying for me, rather than thinking about I have to try for myself.
Yeah.
So until I started speaking with them, and then speaking with him to let him know that, look, it's not about someone, it's about you. So don't think that they have to believe in what you are doing. You have to believe in what you are doing. So we took him out on loan. And you know what we did? Sometimes I go to monitor him. So there was one game that I went, he was playing as a right back. And that one, he has to move from the academy, from the club hotel, and then find himself to the first division.
Right.
And then I went to watch him in the morning, and then he had come to effect a corner kick, and then
He saw you.
and then he saw me, and then he was like, he was surprised.
He was playing at right back and he was taking corner kicks.
Because he was a center back.
Yeah.
But the club he went in, they could only have space to have him to play only
At
as a right back. And
But I'm talking about the confidence that they would ask a right back to
you know,
take a corner kick.
he had strength in kicking.
Right.
So as for set piece, it doesn't matter what position you play. Once you have the ability to do it, you know, you will be interested to, because it's an individual skill.
But they are rare.
Yeah,
They
yes.
are rare.
So when he saw me, and then so at the end of the period, I had an individual review with him. Normally we do individual reviews, and then we had a panel to sit around him. to make a decision. And I told him that I have seen you. Your loan deal has changed you. So tell them that when you come back, you fight for position. So normally when you are going to prison, you take the loan players along. We went to Spain, La Manga. We went to La Manga for pre-season.
Yeah.
And in the pre-season, he did so well. And then we had a meeting to review. And then it was for him to say that I'll go for a loan again. But from what everyone was talking about, it looks like, okay, the loan was good. It had changed him. Let's consolidate that. But I had talked with him and I told him that I think he can make it. And it was his decision. So he said he thinks it looks good, the loan was good, and he's back and he feels good. And then he thinks that he can fight for position. You know Abdul Mumin Suleiman, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, well, it's your decision. And the coach said, I cannot guarantee you playing time. Even though we have Europa to play, we have a cup matches to play, and then we have the league. So there are matches to be played. So I said, it's a good decision, so now let's work. So I did an individual development plan with him, what he has to improve on technically, tactically, and then mentally, and then physically. So technically, he needed to improve on his left foot diagonal kicks. So I said, I'll help you with that. So every training session, 10 minutes, just like you saw us do set pieces, 10 minutes, we'll do those ones. So in the game, I'll set out, checks. How many diagonal kicks did you make? First half, okay, you did 2. 3, you did 3. 2 found the target. 1 didn't go. So why did you not make that target? He has to say it. Okay, my touch was poor. Okay,
the angle,
the angle or the touch was too long. I didn't visualize to connect with the runner. So it has a mental inclination. So he realized that everybody saw that he was growing. So I remember when I met his agent, I told his agent that Mumin would be good for the EPL if he has a chance of playing 1 more year in the Danish league and become the best player, the best centre back, because he was playing we had a player who was playing their national team.
Right.
He was playing with him. So if he's playing their national team and you were playing with him and you were better technically, what does it mean to you? So he left to FC Copenhagen. So now you are now left. So I told him that next year you should be the best centre back in the Danish league. Then you can go to EPL. But he left to Portugal. So this was the trajectory. So there were so many things that I brought into Nordjylland. So now it was for me. So I'm explaining the reasons why I said we were to build Africa into Europe, because we're now bringing in African control in the European land. So you have to acknowledge that you are bringing Africa in a small way, but very importantly. So behind him, then now Mumin Kudus came, then Kamaldeen came, and then Nyama came, and then Diomande Kudus came with Ibrahim Sadiq.
Yeah.
So and I was with them. So I instituted what I call the transitional processes, which has to do with integration and adaptation. So in Nordjylland, they began to understand that transition is not just about just bringing the player. It's about knowing the player's background. So every 3 months, I'll come to Africa, go to Cote d'Ivoire, go to Kudus's home, go to Kamaldeen's home, go to Isaac Atange's home in Donkun Nkonta. Do you know that? I went to all these remote places to understand their backgrounds, so that I can be able to and I brought some of the coaches there, take them to these remote places for them to acknowledge. When they saw Isaac Atange's family, the mother was still, carrying a baby. They were his younger brothers, so many of them where they live, So when you are handling the person, you really will handle the person with decorum. So they will understand how these boys from Africa come. In Cote d'Ivoire, I had Adamo Nagalo, now playing for Burkina. I had Mohamed Diomande. I had Lasso Koulibaly. A lot of this.
Diomande is a kid at Sporting Lisbon now.
No, he was in Rangers.
Right. Yeah.
In Rangers.
So that's a different.
Yes, in Mohamed Diomande.
But the success rates for what you did And I like the nomenclature. You call it a transition program. And because
and it was huge.
I don't think one club has had this success rate of African players moving in.
There was a lot of work, honestly.
Block. And all of them getting into mainstream
honestly,
European clubs.
when I tell you, sometimes when I speak about it, I'm very emotional in a very good way, because I sacrificed my life. I sacrificed my family to make it happen. Yes. Because I saw that, no, these boys, Kudus and Ku, they need to function, because it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge. Food was a challenge. The weather was a challenge. The language was a challenge. And tactically, there was a challenge. But I have to be on the pitch. So I have to coach them in Hausa, in Frafra, in Chi, speak with them in a language that they can connect with the technical and tactical import. And I never said I was tired during COVID. Myself and Isaac Atanga and then Ibrahim Sadiq and Kudus, but then Kudus had left to Ayaz, and then this guy Abu Francis. I have to be doing individual sessions with them. A lot of work to be done just to make sure that they can find the breakthroughs.
I think of all of the boys that you touched, from Abu, Kudus, Sadiq, Husseini, Osman, Kamaldeen, all of them are in the Black Stars.
Including Caleb. Caleb was with my younger brother. Look, when they were preparing for the 2023, 2022 Gotia.
Yeah.
I was the technical director then. We applied for visas, and then 8 of them were denied. You know those who were denied? Stephen Akwa, Baba Isaku, Caleb Amankwa. No, Caleb was denied. Mohammed Arafat was denied.
How?
Yes, because they had not traveled yet.
Right.
So 8 of them, including my son, and these boys will come in groups to come in my house to come of getting the visa. How would you have thought? I asked them, I said, please be honest with me. I want honesty, and we'll learn from this. And one of them told me, we would have thought that because he's your son. But I said, but you see, he didn't also get. So you see that it was not made to happen.
Yeah.
Because if the embassy would challenge my son's age, and then he's my son, and I'm the technical director and head of football there, and I'm the one for them to call and ask. The only thing I could tell the embassy that, but how can I manipulate
falsify the age of
manipulate my own son's age, and then you are calling me? Look at my name. He's carrying my own names. So that is his age.
If you look at all of the players who have made it to the Black Stars, different clubs, who has surprised you the most? Have you been surprised by any?
No.
They always had it.
Of course.
They all had it.
I knew how I brought Kudus to the Black Stars. I think that was 2019.
Yeah.
After my second year in Nordjylland, and I met Kwesi Appiah in Kumasi. Has Kotoko had a game, and I had come down around that time. And I told him, Kapi, come and watch Kudus. Come up. So I made all the arrangements, everything. He went to London. I made all the arrangements, his hotel, everything for him to come. But then I was not there. I was also coming. He said, oh, but you are not there. I said, no, I've made all the arrangements. Go. The boy will be fit for the Blaster. Let's make it a project so that you begin to know that the young ones are ready now. And then, so that was the Ghana-South Africa game was his debut.
Yeah, Cape Coast.
So the invitation came in my email. And I kept telling him in training that, look, just keep training well. This day something good will happen to you. And because I know about the African player.
Yeah.
If you tell him that the Blasters will invite you, he's finished.
Yeah, he gets complacent.
So when he was coming, I had to orient him. I had to tell him that, look, don't give anyone chance. Just take the address of the place. Go yourself. Let your uncle meet you. Let me drive you to the place. Don't be distracted. And we were training, and then sometimes I was using him on the right side or on the left side, because I could see that Kudus might not be a number 10, because sometimes his defensive awareness, meanwhile he has the capability to do it.
Yeah.
Then he was like, but me, I don't want to play as a winger. I said, when you go to Ghana, do you know where they are going to play you? Remember, he came in to play as a winger, and he scored. So I think that there's a whole school of thought that if I wanted to talk About
Just on the subject of Kudus, we expect he will make a move in a couple of days.
He likes challenges, so if he makes a move, I'm not surprised about that. I wish him good luck.
What do you think he can achieve? What do you think he can attain, the standard he can
I
get?
think he's young. He doesn't have everything at his disposal, and he's exploring, which is good. We only hope that he's been better managed. He's somebody who loves his mother so much, and it's his mother who has to be better oriented in terms of how he has to moderate his career institution.
Right. Now, on someone like Kamaldeen Sulemana, unfortunately for him, he's had to deal with a lot of injuries. God being good, he's on the verge of signing. Yesterday he passed his medical at Atalanta. The pictures, everyone was happy for him. Again, just like Kudus, what is the standard you expect him? I mean, you have been exposed to his talents and his personality at a closer level perhaps than anyone.
I handled him when he was 12 years, getting to 13 years. But then I was handling Kudus and Co. at Right to Dream. Just when I left Kotoko.
Yeah.
Again, my second string in Right to Dream. And he was someone that I always brought in to train with the U15s. And I was preparing them for the Manchester United Premier Cup, World Premier Cup competition. Yeah. And he's someone that who knows I trusted him, and at that time, I remember anytime I bring him on, I tell him to express himself. And I tell Abu Francis, Diomande, Kudus, Maswell, and the rest that they shouldn't worry. When he loses the ball, they will win the ball back to him. So there we ask the players to have their talent to express themselves. At that age, it's under 15 going that we try to give them some tactical orientations so that they will be more specific in the way they go. And so he built his self-confidence from those moments. Yeah. That up to date, he's not scared to make mistakes. He just says what he thinks is right. I think that he's learning from the experiences that he has gained. Yeah. He did very well in FC Nordjylland in terms of always working about 80% in the medical room and then the gym, and then coming on the pitch and then being just 20 to 30% on the pitch. And then in the weekend he goes and then he plays 90 minutes. And at the end he was the fastest player in the Danish league, and he played the huge number of minutes in the. It tells that when he invests in his physical well-being, he's able to do much. And I think that wherever he goes, that is what they need to. I remember when he went to Southampton, they called me, and then because they knew I had played an impact in his career.
Right.
And these were the things that I spoke about. That we find the antidote to his injury-prone situations, and then when we did that, it worked. Sometimes we are taking him out of the pitch and he's going to do running, just running, and he tells me, Kochi, like in Dramani, he means, Kochi, they are taking me away from it. And I said, no, don't worry. What they are doing to you now, it will help you, to stay more on the pitch. So that self-awareness is good.
Southampton?
No, this was in FC Nordjylland.
Right.
Yeah. So there his injury-prone situation was better managed there.
Right.
Yeah. In his second season, he played, freely without injuries.
Without any injuries. Yeah. In Serie A, a lot of people perceive that league to be tough, slow-paced, but also very tactical.
It's very tactical, with all the elements, both the phases, defensive and offensive, and he will be better in that one. I'm very, very positive.
I think his pace gives him an advantage there.
Speed is a huge component when it comes to talent. When you go to look for players and someone cannot pass the ball well and he can run very fast, take him and then give him football, he will learn how to pass the ball.
Right.
Yes, he will learn how to pass the ball. Speed is something that we train players on. But if the person has it already, and it's genetic, so once you have that muscle group, you are favored.
So you think he will excel in Italy?
Yeah, he will. He's very young. I think he's a 2002.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very young.
Now let's talk about this next phase of your life, because so you've done a transition program for players of, yes, all of them are Africans, but different subcultures, different cultures, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire.
I even did beyond that. I did even into the European guys who comes from other places, Finland,
Right.
you know, Oliver Atma, you know, Andreas Schillerop, now playing for, I think, Benfica,
Okay.
the Portuguese
Benfica.
side, Benfica,
Yeah.
and then this guy in Dortmund, Daniel Sivenstein.
Yeah.
They were all from Sweden, from Norway. Still, I handled them like the African boy. I was in the hotel with them.
Right.
And
Now,
I supported them just like I did with the African
with the
boys.
African players.
So my transition work didn't stay because
Limited to Africans.
I was supposed to be limited to the Africans, but I realized that when I do that, I will be more biased.
Yeah.
So I connected even to the Danish to the other.
Right. And I'm sure the club got a value because even the transfer
lot.
sums alone from those players.
A lot.
When you look at that experience, then later being the head of football at Right to Dream, before we try to look at the similarities between that job and perhaps what some of us think Hartevuk need here, how significant was that job? Because it was next level stuff, being head of football at Right. First of all, break it down. What did you do? And then we get into the experiences
Okay, as a head of football and technical director,
Yeah.
your primary responsibility was to build a certain change of mentality. It was to formulate
Policy.
another breed of culture.
Yeah.
It was to bridge the gap between you know, Right to Dream has 3 components: school, football, and character.
Yeah.
So it was to bridge the gap and have interrelations within these huge departments, and then also to facilitate, you know, the technical awareness of coaches in terms of the style of play, because I have been in Europe and I have been there, and then I have been very keen in the style of play there.
Yeah.
So instead of someone going to begin to help the players on the pitch there, I rather help my coaches there and the players to be aware of it and the expectation there,
Yeah.
so that the transition does not become slow as it used to be. I had to be correcting it there, but now we correct it even here before the player gets in there. That was why Osman had it so easy. That is why Stephen Aqua had it easy. That is why Caleb Mafu had it easy there. So now what he's supposed to be expecting there,
He knows it here.
He knows
Lifts
it here.
it here.
He lifts it here. Instead of stopping the ball, he sees that he has to take a touch and move.
And let the ball run.
So instead of training and then somebody hits you, you are not injured. When
you
you came
go
in,
down.
how many players did you see them go down and stay on the ground?
No one's.
No one. Everybody is going.
Okay.
If you are not injured, why will you be on the ground? In Europe, nobody likes players who stay on the ground. The other ones, they struggle with these ones. They struggle with it. But these ones, no. I try to bring that mentality into them, both on and off attention. So the staff are more aware of this, and then the players become more enlightened and better educated. So that is the import of being a head of football and a technical director. It has a technical intuition, it has a managerial side, and it has a cultural, you know, development.
I wrote an article last week,
Yeah.
and a lot of people misunderstood the title.
Send it to me to read.
Yes. So the title was "Hearts Got the Right Man, but for the Wrong Job." So I basically explained the fact that given your experiences and how Pobiman doesn't have, the entire Hartevuk doesn't have any highly skilled technical officer who has experience of managing a club or a project like this before. Because the way I see it, the person who was in charge of the scouting units, coaching, the football itself, hiring coaches for the various youth teams, character development, as you put it, and the football running through, or the philosophy running through the various youth teams, as you explained. Hearts don't have anybody like that. And I was suggesting that perhaps after a year or some 18 months, when you've done a bit of this, you could consider, or the club could consider, making you head of football or director of a similar role, because you would have a much more significant impact on the football club rather than just come and coach for a year or two, and then when you leave, there's no way of ensuring that the gains that you've attained are entrenched. Is it far-fetched to expect that you can have such a role at the club?
You want to do the work for them? I think that even at Try to Dream,
yeah,
I just spoke very little, right? When they say head of football, everything that is involved about football
is under you.
It's under you. It's under you. This scouting department that you are speaking about,
yeah,
we did a lot of aspects. You know, you need to get everyone clarified. You need to get everyone really understand the philosophy. Philosophies in football are beliefs. What you believe in, what you trust in, what your ideas are about. So you need to have everyone who is within it to trust and believe in it. When you trust something, you believe in it and you follow it.
You'll be committed to it.
You are committed to it. So we tell coaches that when you go to a club and then every club is supposed to have a direction. When you go to a club and they don't have that direction, first thing you have to put the directives, put them in place. So if you heard me rightly yesterday in the media, interaction, I spoke about three things. I spoke about direction, I spoke about consistency and sustainability. So everything that you spoke about in that long term embodies on these three things. And the short term to longer term, projections that will be put is based on what the club vision is about. So sometimes it's written, sometimes it's unwritten, but when you speak with someone and then you can hear what he keeps telling you every time, then it is for you to begin to do it. Make sense of what that import is. So make sense in the sense that, okay, so when I step in, I look at this and I say, but all these structures are meant for an institution that has connection, finding the vertical integration of youth teams into the mainstream. So we need to build a complete scouting department. We need to build a complete analysis department. We need to build a complete sports science department. That is how to go. You need to build structures. And then you find out that once you build structures, and you heard me saying that, for me, my purpose is to make sure that I better educate all these people who are around me, so that one day when I turn my back, I can say, come on, you can do it. So it's not far-fetched in terms of what I want to do for them. I want to leave something that is very tangible, and that will put in place the structures, because these things cannot just be, because this is so important. Yeah. I've trained on so many astroturfs, but this one is one of the best ones.
It looks nice.
Best ones, I'm telling you, best ones. Best ones with injury-free situations, well structured. So you can see that the board really has, they really has a clear vision with a very, in-depth, thoughts around it. Because this is very good. Sometimes it's so wet, you cannot go in there, you are here. This is so good. Sometimes you're going to play maybe in a so you have to be training here. So I think that it is, you have to go
bits by bits.
Bit by bit, and it is part of what the mandate will be. Sometimes the mandate nobody tells you what to do, but in your own mission, you think that you put in some structures in order to be able to let everybody know that, look, what you are doing is good, but let's do this, let's do that.
Of all the things you've said, which is the most attainable in the short term?
It's the structures. When you set up structures, it is all about from short term to longer term. Everything that is in the longer term is in the shorter term. Because in the longer term, you are fostering or building a comprehensive team that can challenge for titles. Yeah. The titles comes from training. It comes from better educating your staff, better putting in the best training methodology such that they get to understand that. Were you here before we started?
Yeah, I think I got here at 10.
Okay. So before you came, we had done the first part of our warm-up, which is the pre-activation. Yeah. The pre-activation sometimes is just for the player himself to be doing it. by something that maybe they have no idea about.
So it has to be guided.
we will set it for them to try to be doing it, consistently in every training session, so that they get used to it. And then when they get used to it, they have a range between a period and a period is for medical checks. Between a period and a period is a pre-activation. So nobody will come and stand with him, because you know which part of your body, is not tuning well.
Yeah.
So you know what activities you have to go through it before even the main. And everybody knows that we need to start our warm up at 8:30. So training start at 8:30. So everybody knows that. So 8:15 to 8:30. Reporting time. Medical checks. So everybody knows this. So they come in and they do that. So these are the structures. So maybe it's something that they were not doing, right?
Yeah.
So now you set up something and you are also consistent. They see that whatever you say, you are doing it all the time. You are doing it all the time. So you now think about sustainability. How do you sustain it? You sustain it by acknowledging them to believe in what they are doing, by giving them rewards, by telling them, the benefits of what they are doing, by telling them to be aware of some of these structures. Then they own it. And that is the culture we want to do.
Now, I think 2 weeks ago, the Ghana Football Association announced a transfer ban. We're told the club is working around the situation. What kind of challenge does that face until it is resolved? Especially because there may be players that you, I don't know about your plans, but you may have some players in mind that you may want to sign. But even if the club does, as it stands, they will not be able to register. How does that affect your work?
Oh, I think that is why the PR work is so important all the time. That it is important to communicate the right information across everywhere, so that everyone will appreciate, the work that is being put in place. I think that it's something that I don't need to speak about. It's something that is in the boardroom and management, and I'm very positive that in the long run, it's all about monetary imbalances that will be taken care of, and then we're hoping that at the end of the day, the club is able to fulfill what their obligations are, and then they are able to get that freedom to do the business of the day.
Now, last week the club also announced the fact that your predecessor, Ouattara, is now special advisor to the board. There was not a lot of clarity on whether he's advising the club on business, international relations, youth football, or any aspect of it. You, I'm sure, has the brief, because they will tell you which areas the rules may overlap, if they overlap. What is that working relationship like?
I think I try as much as possible to respect confidentiality and then also privacy.
Right.
And I try not to speak about people when they are not around me.
Right.
I try to speak with them when they are around me. And then I think that in football circles, there's no secret. I tell my staff that there's no secret in football.
Everything comes out eventually.
Everything will come out eventually. So all that you have to do is that always try to do your very best. I'm somebody who is very open and very proactive when it comes to relationship and human structure. I acknowledge anyone who worked here before. That when you heard me yesterday, I said the work is all about progressive development, and it means what people have done over the years are all part of what is being done today. You wouldn't say that those who were in here
before didn't do anything.
They did their parts. That's why you came to meet. Yeah. So everyone is doing his part. I'm also going to do my part, and at the end, maybe in future, someone else will come and do his part.
Continue.
That is the most important part when it comes to association football. Okay. Today we are talking about Nordjylland, of what we did. It's for historians now.
Yeah. We're going to end it with what you are actually doing and what you can control. You've trained the team for a few days now. What do you think is the potential in this team and what they can accomplish?
I think that their rate of integration is huge. So sense of adaptation is very paramount, and they can see that there's a wind of change. They can appreciate that the change that is in, is sweet, and then is relevant, and everybody is making the right effort to find himself in the better space.
Is the squad as it is good enough, of course with training, with time, but is the squad as it is, in terms of the profile of the players that you've inherited, is it good enough to go into next season?
Every club will always make adjustments. Every setup, you need adjustments. Once you are setting up a clear direction, and then you are setting a direction that has a consistency, and that has to be sustained. Definitely, you might need someone on a short term. You might need someone on a long term. So you might need some as backups, and so it's very important that you are able to make the right decisions, and then you are able to get the right elements of what you want to do. And I think that definitely what the import of what we have is, you can say that at least you have over 65% of what is needed already, and so the other 25-30% are something that you'll be looking around to add as backups and then as reinforcements, which is very important in football. The big clubs, they do it, and because you need to, and we need to manage the squad so that we don't have an overwhelming squad that sometimes when you are going for a game, you are leaving so many behind that they cannot be part of the team. You know, and it's like you are not happy with it, then they are also not happy with it. So who is then happy? Why are you keeping them? Why will you not give some of them out on loan so that they can play and get better and get better?
What do you think you can achieve with this team?
I think there's a lot. For me, I don't know. Achievements is very diverse. You know, I think about always diversity in what I do, and so for me, achievement, I see it differently. Even what I'm doing with you is an achievement. Well, I'm having an opportunity to speak about what my thoughts are, and so it's relative, right, to different people, and the fact that I bring in more staff into so many, you know, departments to set up, you know, is something that was not there. It's something that is being instituted. It's something that they respected, and then they see how I communicate with individual players. They see how I try to talk about the game. You know, they see how I try to bring my staff to also speak to the players as stand from behind, and I always chip in. And sometimes I make jokes and I say, do you think that I don't deserve to be paid more? Because I'm not taking care of only you players. I'm taking care of coaches also. So it's important to know that what really you think is an achievement.
But in terms of on-field success?
On-field success is the successes that you gain from off-field that translates onto the pitch.
Right.
So football is all about the pitch size and then off-pitch activities. If you don't get it right outside the pitch, you don't get it right here.
Did you know that you are the only coach to have won the double?
Oh, really?
For Kumasi
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just do it. I just do it. You know, I don't do it with a.
And let the rest of us talk about it.
I don't do it with a clear intention. I do it with a deliberate approach in what I think is more pragmatic.
Okay. So you're not focused on the records?
No, not at all.
It's just on the process?
I have never introduced myself to someone. Yes. Like when I'm going and then maybe the police stops me, and then I'll just greet and say, okay, we are from training. If he asks of my license, I'll show him my license.
When you put it that way,
yes, I'll show him my license. If he asks of my document, I'll show him, and I'll just be sitting. If he acknowledges me and then he gives me a chance to go.
When you put it that way, that's some flex, like, I don't need to introduce myself.
No.
I'm the guy.
Why will I introduce myself? Why would I introduce myself?
My reputation precedes me.
And that's why when you ask me about, I've never been idle.
But you come up against them on July 6th, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, the team that you made history for.
It's just a game.
Is it?
I'm just happy that I'll be meeting my namesake, John Dramani, the president. You know the last time I met him?
No.
We went to present the 2012 bronze medal we had in Azerbaijan.
Right.
In the 2012.
The maidens.
Yes. And then people, are you related? I said, we are not related. We are related by name. We are related by.
Will you remind him of
clan.
that when you meet him?
Of course. He's asked of me several times.
Right.
That but where's my namesake? And then the close guys tell him that, oh, He's around.
He's doing well.
Yeah, I try to just be on the
But
very quiet
your
side.
personality and experiences may make the significance of that game not seem exaggerated. But for the rest of the country, it's a big deal.
It is.
President's Cup or
It's
not.
always a big deal. But the big deal that you can do is what you see us doing. You liked what you saw?
Yeah, I did. It was impressive.
That's
impressive.
That is what
But
we need to
talk to me
acknowledge.
about the significance of that game. I mean,
It's very important.
it's your first competitive
Yes,
game.
it's really very important, and then it's also very important with the history of the club. It's also very important with the season, and it's also very important how we are able to manage players from a scientific point of view, especially from the sports science point of view, because they have not finished recuperating. So they are in the transitional phase, finishing the league. They've not had a lot time to have mental and then physical rest, and then we're bringing them into another game, a high-profile game. So we need to manage the squad, and also we have another tournament in Nigeria. So we need to manage the squad very well, so that we can have the best of this group.
Finally, what should fans expect? Because these are the Echo International Cup and the President Cup are essentially the first time fans are going to see Didi coached Accra Hearts of Oak. What should fans expect from your team across these two?
I think we try as much as possible to bring what we do in training and into the game. We come with the best energy, come with the best effort, and then try to put in a good performance.
Should Hearts fans expect a win against Kotoko?
I think when you do the right things right, especially coming with the right energy, effort, and performance, you don't decide how the results should come.
Hearts haven't beaten Kotoko in almost 3 years. Are
really?
you bothered? Yeah.
Oh, maybe this could be the first time, maybe. But we are positive, and I know that it's not a game that comes so easy.
Right.
It's a game that comes with every attention and every seriousness and every composure. Because one moment you need to be very serious, one moment you need to be very calm, one moment you need to be very composed. And so that is where we want to take this club to, so that the players get more into these aspects and knows when they have to be calm and when they need to display.
Good. I've enjoyed this conversation with you.
It is always
Thank
like
you
this.
so much.
Thank you.
I wish you good luck.
Thank you so much.
You need a lot of it to navigate the choppy waters of coaching Accra Hearts.
We will do our best.
Hopefully in a few months' time we can sit back again and look back on what you have done, even as you make progress with Accra Hearts.
Thank you very much
day.
for coming. Have a good day.
All right, so thank you so much. I trust you enjoyed that conversation that Victor Achutamakulu had with the head coach of Accra Hearts of Oak. And of course, there'll be live commentary here on Joy 99.7 FM. Tomorrow will be the President's Cup game between Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko. Hopefully, the president himself will be there and he will be presenting the trophy to the winning team. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks to everyone for being a part of the show. And I'd like to say a very big thank you to the whole production team as well. We will be back next weekend with another Joy Sports Link. You all stay well and keep it here. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and I have love for sport.